missing out on opportunities.
All right. Hey. Welcome to the Really Charlie podcast. And today I'm with my boy, my friend, Russell Ramus. And we're going to co-host this podcast and talk about a few things that are on our mind. And we should have another guest coming on from PAACA and talk about the Cozy Up Gathering Center, which I was informed about through a friend of mine, Flip Rose, and he thought it was something that should be podcasted, and so that's what we're doing. We're podcasting the we're going to podcast about the Cozy Up Gathering Center at PAACA at Cogswell Street in New Bedford, Massachusetts. So, but meanwhile, what we're going to do is Russell and I are going to talk about something we just a few minutes ago was just talking about, the seniors. So, Russell, I'm going to let you take the lead on this, and then we'll go from there. All right.
Yeah, definitely. I thought it's a perfect opportunity to open a discussion with everybody on how we can help our seniors become better with technologies that they're using. During the pandemic, there were a lot of seniors that didn't have the opportunity to really utilize that. And as a community, we should get together and somehow, some way, show them all these devices, how they work, whether it's dual or whether it's you're on Google. Google is expanded so much now that they can get on with all of their family members. If we can show them in a way that's really simplified, if incidents happen, like for example, today it snowed here in New England. We got our first snowstorm in New England, and people are pretty much stuck in the house. And to get over all of this, we can show them how to use these things. And you get so many requests on seniors trying to send material to, let's say, Social Security, which is basically a lot of faxing that goes on. There's a lot of technical stuff that gets involved in this that they just don't understand. And I could see it. I could see on their faces they get so frustrated. But once you start to help them, they understand. There's a lot of tools that they can use.
True. And seniors, how they did things. They were really, take a lot of different notes and write things down on notebooks. And I think if we kind of form a little booklet, little booklet, not as big as, when we were growing up, they would give us the registry booklet to study for our driving test, but just a little booklet about, how to do this. And because if we give them something like on a video, a YouTube video, they may not know how to get to that access, get the access to that video. So sometimes this may be one option, is just to give them something that they can handheld, hold, and a little booklet, just enough so they can, know where to click on and what to do. But I think it's something very important, only because if they can get on maybe a Zoom meeting or just and with the Apple products, they have the iPad with FaceTime. That's half the battle. It keeps the communication going, with that senior and their family or their friends, because they kind of lose touch, other than talking on the phone. And believe it or not, some of them may not just don't want to get up to go answer the phone, It may be right there, they're just tired and winded. But, sometimes the technology could help them out, especially now and during the pandemic and in days like this where there's a snow day,
I saw a really good example of what they could use, which is more traditional. And a friend of mine had basically took a planning book and took that planning book and put different color codes in it and made it really, really designer. So if there was a birthday in the family, they got little stickers, they put little flowers around it, on that specific day. That could help them out a lot. I saw a fantastic example of that. Maybe one day we can have it come on to the show and we can show that. It looks like we have a Sandra Andre saying maybe we have classes in their buildings. Sandra, I think that would be an excellent idea. The only problem is right now with the COVID going on, and we got to still we gotta still be very careful because the situation of being older, you don't want to, as I know you know all of this, we don't want them to pick something up. So where I think what they need to see is something a little bit more simplified. And with this sort of, you can buy a nice binder book with a big calendar days on it. Make it really fun. Put little stickers in it. If maybe even someone's face in the family. Maybe for a particular birthday, you can put that person's face in there. Or maybe for an event, maybe there's a special event going on. You can show them how to get little symbols out. You can take a regular newspaper or magazine, and I think have some fun with this and just cut out little parts and pieces. Maybe there's a certain day that they want to buy like certain things like soap. They want to remember for the next month they need soap. They need certain groceries. You can just have them cut it out and then just put it in at a certain time inside the book so that they're not always feeling like, wow, we got to jump on board of this technology. And in some ways it's good for them, in some ways they don't. The old school way of keeping. I still even have a daily diary. The book. I still have the booklet, and sometimes I write things in there. It's not always dependent on what's in the calendar or something.
Yeah, in our family we still write on the calendar, even though we have a calendar electronically on our phones and on our PCs or laptops, but sometimes you just can't get away from some of those old ways, but I get it, and as far as the classes, it is really tough to kind of get in those buildings, but we don't want to let it stop us, too much,
Yeah.
So, I just want to say hello to Michael, Michael Shamayo. Yeah, and Russell says hello too in the chat.
And the chat is open for anybody that they want to chat in and say hello.
Yeah, just make sure you put it in the comment section. The private chats between the guest and myself, the guest and me, and Russell. That's a conversation. And like if we want to bring up something like. One of the things I like to bring up is like the homeless, and it's so sad walking around and seeing many of the things that are going on. But we got to give it a good try. And this city, I think, is giving it a good try. They're trying the best they can.
Make a note on it for today, which is very important. Sidney Poitier has passed away, and he always said, central human dignity. We have to, understand someone else, being in someone else's shoes. And we've been doing this all our life. Just to be able to deal with people. We always, we've been through this. We've been through so much in the '60s. And in order to have a peaceful line in our lives, we basically jumped into other folks' shoes to see, where they're coming from or what's going on. You got to understand the next person. There's got to be apathy, and we don't have it. And I think part of the problem is if you've never experienced being homeless, then you don't know. I know I've experienced it. I've experienced it not only in when I was in Baltimore years ago. I remember sleeping on the back of a porch. And if anyone's ever seen the movie Fences, that is a perfect example. I think they filmed that in Philadelphia, but that house that's in Fences, man, I remember that backyard because what's happening is the urban cities, they have like a little, I guess it's an offshoot area where you can actually drive a car back there. And it's like a little trailway behind the buildings. Yeah. And I remember in the heat in Maryland, just laying out on the back of someone's porch while I was getting ready to go to school, and I just didn't have my apartment. And then coming back to New Bedford, I mean, just 15 years ago, just finding myself in that situation for a little bit of time. And if you don't know what that's like, or if you don't know what a cold night would be, and then I remember taking my little cart and pushing it somewhere and going, what am I going to do tonight on this? And actually at the time I didn't even know what the what the services were out there. I was just hoping that maybe, I'd go to the local club and put it on the side, and hopefully, I can speak to someone and say, hey, you think I can temporarily crash at your place? And on top of that goes, your own family members right in your own city. We got to get rid of that stigma, that says, oh well, it's their fault. And we
Hmm.
dealt with that because of our, sometimes it's culture wise. We'll throw in your face and say, oh, it's your fault, you did it.
Hmm.
You made yourself, you put yourself in that situation or something like that. But when you're out there looking for a job and you're pushing and pushing and pushing, I know if I hadn't walked down the street, down Union Street, and saw the Ernestina there and got an opportunity to jump on the ship for 5 months for the state, man, I don't know. I was willing to do whatever I had to do. I was working. I did the fish houses, did we a friend and me and a friend worked in one of the wharf shrimp shrimp factories, just standing in the line pulling the skin off a shrimp, man, for
Hmm.
for 8 hours. I mean, it really comes down to what when you're in that situation, would you really do? Which is nothing that is. It's better to do something honest than do something illegal. You're going to go out there and do what you have to do. Riding the bike up the North End just to go work at D'Angelo's and make sandwiches. All those things are really, really, a person has to deal with. You have to become creative when you're in that kind of situation. But sometimes, and there was something here in some of the work on a Packer that said, they're holistic. They're trying to find out the whole picture. What's going on with a person. You can't just all of a sudden have recovery and say, okay, well, a person's going to get rehabilitated. They become sober and they're not going to drink anymore. It's not just that. Just doesn't end it. That's not enough. It has to be more than
Yeah.
that. It has to be more than that. You got to have guidance. You got to have the right people in your corner so that they don't all of a sudden slip off again. And not having, and a lot of these organizations give out, great clothing. You can stay warm. You don't have to stay wet anymore. So we really got to give big ups to all these beautiful programs that we do have that are really working hard. And you know which ones they are, Charlie.
We yeah, there's if you want to seek and find a lot of different things that are going on in the city, you can find in any city. You just got to reach out and go to your town hall, your city hall, and then actually go to the women's centers and the men's centers, or even the police stations. Because they're providing a lot of things in our trainings and different trainings, and so get that information, even if it's a bunch of little leaflets or flyers or bulletins. Grab them, put them in your pocket, and kind of, if you have to hand it out to someone, do it. I want to say hello to Debbie Monash, one of our colleagues, and nice seeing her. Long time no see, and I just want to. That's another good person, genuine person, and I miss working with her on a daily basis. And Miss Monash, I just want to say Happy New Year and best of health with you. The let's see, trying to bring up a photo of the want to bring up a photo of something I'm going to add to the Really Charlie podcast, and I'm going to do it bi-weekly, and I'm going to do it with a cousin of mine, Marvin Speller. We call him Coach 100, and it's gonna deal with making mental health a priority with everybody. So what I want to do is just bring up that photo, only because I think it's in doing it bi-weekly, it kind of keeps it. We don't want to be out of touch with anybody by doing something on a monthly basis or anything like that, because that's a lot of time. There's a lot of things can happen within 24 hours, never mind 30 days. So bringing Coach on here and let him bring his intellect to the program on a bi-weekly basis, would be great, and so he reached out to me, and I'm so proud and happy of the work that he does, especially with the homeless out there on the West Coast. He's doing a lot of good things out there, him and his wife, Kristen, and but trying to find that picture right now on my iPad so I can bring it to the screen here.
Yeah, and there are many, facilities that we have for mental illness. Years ago, I used to work for Crisis, so I used to do the overnight when they were on Union Street. My job was from 12 to maybe 7 or 8 in the morning. So I got to see definitely a lot of different, situations and cases. And some of the things that you would see would surprise you because, some people that we would know, unfortunately, had things happen and it turned their life,
Yeah,
and it would turn
exactly.
their life around. So the stigma of thinking that, well, this happened to this person, then all right. I remember the time, what was the singer's name? Famous singer. It kind of losing it right now. Let's see. Natalie Cole. Natalie
Hmm.
Cole had a moment years ago when mental illness was just coming to the the media. Everyone was finally getting to know it, and there was sort of a little bit of a stigma about it. She
Yep.
made it come back.
One second, Russ. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, okay, so for our audiences, many of you out there that have definitely, you know someone or you've experienced it. We get the chats open if you want to put a short statement in there and referring to something, then we can open up on it on further on the conversation to say, hey, maybe there's solutions or ideas. We can sit in meetings all day long and just keep talking and talking and talking in a round table of people, but there's no better place to really do it than to get out sort of in the field and walk around. I mean, I live in a city where I walk around in the city, so I get to see a lot of things that are going on all over. I get to see it firsthand. So when you get to see it firsthand, you know what's going on. You get to talk to people. You get to see with your own eyes what's what's going on, or you try to think of what could be a solution.
True. The I like kind of, I one day I hope that you and I can kind of go um and do that one on one with a lot of people and just kind of be candid and honest and talk with people about some of the things that they're going through, and and not judging anybody, and that's the one thing that if you're trying to go into and try to find some solutions to homelessness, or without having any empathy for the people that are you're talking to or trying to provide some care for, then you defeated your main purpose of going out there and trying to help and assist. So, I have an understanding and a heart for a lot of people that are out there, including you. There's something we talk about it on it. When you think about it, you and I just start conversations on a weekly basis. Um, and we sort of bring up the homeless conversation every week, and being where we are, we see it constantly. Regardless, there's definitely it's something that we get our daily reminders. So
Yeah,
um, the I I was I'm gonna try to bring up this. We're just gonna make mention of this, only because we're on here for the second time talking about uh, a building organization, and we're just gonna. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that, Russell?
yeah,
All right. Um, at 360 Cogswell Street, New Bedford, is the PAACA building, and they have a center there. It's called Cozy Up at the Gathering Center, 360 Coggeshall Street, New Bedford, Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. From December 15th through March 15th. For more information, you should visit PAACA, PAACA.org, and that's just a venue where you can go, and it supports people who are unhoused and just don't have a place to go. So if you're looking for the three hours or so to just kind of get out of the weather, get out of the elements, and if you're just stranded, whether it's downtown or north end, wherever you may be, just take, if you have enough physical ability to take a walk and get to the Cozy Center, at least they will provide you with 3 hours of, of some heat, and some interaction with people. And the one thing about being in that building is there's so many resources there that where someone can help you or try to help you, because a lot of people that are within the building helping out, a lot of people that have been through some situations, and could definitely feel for you if you're unhoused. So,
Mhm. Michael says here, my consulting roles with federally qualified health centers throughout the country. I have witnessed the hard work each group applies to meet the needs of those communities, including the homeless. And that's great, Mike. That's definitely there's something else, but I can't
yeah,
read
that's
some of
one of
yeah.
we tend to get that on the YouTube, and I wish
Okay.
it it's definitely a lot of it comes, this is being broadcast podcast all over the world, so we get different language barriers, and, and
Mm-hmm.
so eventually, we do get comments, but they're
Mm-hmm.
on there, and I can't translate it, so
You know,
I
it was actually it looks like a VARK tech.
yeah.
So I think someone's trying to say something that is maybe a website or something. Looks like a dot after it. VARK tech, but we won't go there. But when you had brought up the thing about all over, and we do this with the radio station, which the radio station is going all over the world. So you're absolutely right. This internet is amazing that it can reach so many people. And our experiences are going different places. I remember being in New York City, and we were out there doing a little filming. It was myself and a few others doing a short little documentary. We went into one of the buildings. It was one of the tall high rises, and it was somewhat in a low income area. And I got in the elevator. It was my first time in this part of New York, and I was going down in the elevator, and I was just so appalled. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was just all this. It was urine smells. It was cigarette butts. It was just really, really bad situation. And as I was riding down the elevator, we got to one other floor, and a woman came in, and she came in with her little son, and as I was saying, I experienced all of these senses, the smells, everything. And then all of a sudden, the little kid got on. He said, "Hi, how are you, sir?" And I looked at the child, and I just realized, and that this is where we should all realize too. I looked at him. It's not his decision, to say, okay, I'm here. Maybe in the future he could probably go off and see some different things, but this was the environment he was living. So if we're judgmental about that moment, and all of a sudden we're like, wow, this is look at this is dirty, this is that, then we get thrown off about the overall picture of what's actually going on. They don't understand why is that situation the way it is, or who should be fixing it. So we can do that just even locally when when you see somebody or something, and just off the top of your head go, oh, that's, I hear someone say, oh, that's disgusting. Why are they, that way or this way or some way? And you don't know this story. You don't know how it happened, and that's why in this brochure here, they was talking about the overall, looking at the overall situation. You just can't all of a sudden say, okay, tell somebody just, go off and just be sober. You know, you don't
Yeah.
have to do anything, just be sober. It doesn't work like that. It's the overall picture of everything. It's where they live. It's if could you actually get a job? And there are other things that, probably suppressing them from getting a job. Maybe their history, or maybe they're worried about in the past or what someone's going to think of them and go, oh, I see you working at such and such a place, but I remember when you were, on the streets and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't, you got to be able to just, once you move ahead, cut that off and move ahead and say, I'm going to keep moving forward and not worrying about, what someone else's biases are.
True. And sometimes when we mention things that like being dependent on a few things and or substance, or some people just don't they think that depending on being dependent on drugs, or and they forget to realize that alcohol is a dependency. Sometimes people depend on it to just kind of bring them in a different place, a different feeling, and you remember during this pandemic that when they talked about leaving essential stores and facilities open, they definitely thought about leaving. Well, they did authorize that liquor stores could be open and as essential places, and so we can't judge anybody, and to kind of alcohol is a key to a lot of people's lives, and whether it's obstructing them, soothing them, or just getting them through. We gotta find something to help out many people in this community when it comes to drugs and alcohol and homelessness. They may not be dependent on anything, and sometimes when you see someone there struggling, or homeless or unhoused, the first thing we want to do is tie into something that that's restricting them, and it's not always something that you're addicted to, and just got to remember that. Let me see. Mike Samail says it's great you are creating a visibility to these important issues. True. And Michael, I'm going to say this firsthand, Mike. Mike, you have a lot of intellect, and if there's anything, subject matter or something that you want to bring up, please, as we keep in contact every day, just let me know. Say, hey, this is the subject matter. Maybe you should bring to the podcast. And I got to thank my lucky stars that I have a good friend in you, Michael, and I have a good friend in Russell that I could depend on. And it's usually there in a short notice. And I like co-hosting a lot of things with Russell. And speaking of that, let's bring up our commercial here. We got to do this.
Okay.
And especially today, being a snow day, we're going to bring up our two commercials. Right?
Perfect time for this commercial.
Yeah.
Welcome to Dial a Shovel, your local residential snow removal service. Please contact us if you have any questions. We look forward to helping you keep your property safe and clear. Our number is 774-634-6200.
Perfect timing. I definitely remember the days of running around with a shovel in my hands and knocking on doors and telling someone, "Can I shovel your walk? Can I shovel your walk?" But I had a little way to do that, and what it was is my competitors were charging more money. So what I did was I charged less money, and I was able to get in and get out and do a good job and move to the next house. So while my competitors were charging more money, they were being told by the person they better, every second they were telling them, "No, now I want you to do this. You got to really earn that $10." Back then, $10 was a lot of money. So they made them work harder. So they spent more time on the scene working. So I figured if you charge less, then you could just do the basics. You do the front of the house, you do a walkway to the back, and you tell them specifically you clean the porch off. Then you move on to the next house and the next house. So the time that it took them to do one house for that higher price, they were losing out.
Yeah,
And you
my
had to have a
go
good
my
shovel.
my go-to shovel was it was a steel it was a steel blade with a long wooden handle. And the key
Yep,
to the wooden handle is that the wood wasn't gonna freeze your hands and make it. Everyone was trying to get those newer shovels with some aluminum or
yep,
you know what? Guess what? That only made it worse when you were shoveling. You know, you
yeah,
get that wood handle
yeah,
shovel and you know what? It usually broke up the ice a whole lot easier. You start getting
yep,
those aluminum shovels, and guess what? It bends, and then
yeah,
you're out of
yeah.
no shovel, no work.
It made a good buck on that to go sit down at Kresge's downtown where they used to have that on the corner of Purchase in William Street. Was now the Rite Aid. That used to be the Kresge's with the beautiful '60s diner. Remember, it was like a Rockwell picture, man. You go sit there at the counter. That's where I'd go when I was done with my paper route. Was
Yeah,
that $13 a week was a lot of money.
get that little. It
Hey,
was.
for a 14-year-old kid, $14 a week to me was a lot of cash.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think the lowest check that I ever received, I remember receiving, it was around $45 for the week, and that's you could spend $45 in real quick in the
Yeah.
10 items or less item. I mean, $45 is nothing,
Yeah, definitely, Michael. That was it. You just had to keep the gears going, man. Keep the paper route going. I actually had 80. I had 80 papers, right? And you would say you had 80 papers. I did Court Street, Cottage Street, part of County Street. I had that whole area. I had the Warm Center, and would you believe it or not, 40 of my papers went to the House of Correction,
hmm
which when I would bring them to the House of Correction, they'd always invite me to come in, which I never really wanted to go in. And I had to not only go in, but they would send me to the back to drop the papers off. And man, let me tell you, I said, I'm going to keep working this paper route. I got to stay out of trouble and keep working this paper route because, man, I'll tell you what, I would have just delivered the 40 papers. It didn't matter. I didn't have to drop it off there, but that was definitely an eye awakener. So
Yeah,
I
my
forget the guy's name that was running that he would come. What was the guy's name? He's a Cape Verdean guy who worked down at the Standard Times, and I don't know how I forgot his name, but he was a supervisor that would come with a truck. If anybody remembers him, he was always dropping off. I haven't seen him in years, but he would come and collect the money and give us our papers, whether it was rain or shine. If it was a snowy day like today, you better believe your mother was telling you better go deliver someone's paper.
yes, the
You put your boots on and get out and go deliver papers.
one of the greatest paper boys in the world was my friend Curtis Rose. Curtis Rose used to take a shopping cart, and it was full, usually all the way up to the top, and
Mm.
that's how many papers he had. He constantly took routes over and over again. But to see that dude every day, kind of going through the South End, Bay Village, pushing his cart through the snow, and it didn't matter how many inches are on the ground, he still was pushing his carriage and making those deliveries. So, a shout out to Russell Ramus getting through the elements, and a shout out to Curtis Rose for delivering those newspapers.
Can we get into it? Because since we started talking about tools, what are the tools? I know that there's some really nice folks that drop off. They
Joey said
drop off
Mr. Rose. I'm sorry.
Mr. Rose. I think it was Mr. Rose, Joey.
Yeah.
It could have been Mr. Rose. Okay. So yeah, okay. Was his first name? Oh, could it? I can't remember the first name, but I was thinking of how we have some really great volunteers that bring out backpacks for the homeless. They give whether it's a pushing cart that you need, But again, we start thinking about doing those things, but then what's the whole picture, the bigger picture? That's only temporary. That's only a temporary situation. So what is the answer to move folks on? So for example, where if you see someone like I was seeing someone every day, and I would tell this young man, you gotta, I want to help you, man. I want to give you this phone number, call this person. I got in touch with someone. So I saw him all summer long. I kept telling him, here, I want you to call this person. They're ready for you. Give him a call. Then when I saw him a couple of times, I asked him, did you call? And one day he told me, no, I didn't call because I was out last night. We were all hanging out. We were drinking. I said, in reality, when the weather gets cold, you're not going to be able to stay out here. You're going to make yourself sick. When you get older, you're going to become an older person like me. Your body changes. You're going to get sick. You can't continuously do this. And he would say, oh, okay, next time. But I spoke to him, lots of times, over and over. So in a situation like that, what would you do?
Well, with me personally, you know what?
Lenny, I'm sorry, Joey. Thank you, Lenny. I appreciate it. You did, Joey. You did bring in the name I was looking for, Joey. It was Lenny. I don't remember Lenny's last name, but he was a great guy.
Lenny Rose.
Lenny Rose. Okay.
A lot of times, what I try to, especially being the police department and doing my career, and I always, I didn't want to tell anybody I don't know, and regardless of what situation they came, I always said, I don't know isn't an answer. And I always felt that it should never be an answer when you're in public service. If you're there and you're doing something and someone comes in and has a question for you and you say, I don't know. I can't, that was me personally. I could never say I don't know to someone. I always try to find out, something, at least if it was the very minimum thing that I can offer someone when they were asking for something, whether it's getting shelter, whether it was, needing a ride here or there, I always try to give them some kind of direction, but I would never say I don't know. It's just something I couldn't do. Personally, I didn't want to do that. I thought I was in a position, in a profession where I needed to kind of protect and serve. And if it's asking me a simple question to help out someone, I wouldn't say I don't know. And Donna Ponce, thank you for that comment. We're trying to keep up the good work, and as we do things here on the podcast, we also do things at WMB1 Radio. Russell and I are actually on the radio every Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And we basically, we're doing our thing, doing something that we love. And that's being behind the microphone, playing some good music for you all. So continue to join us. And I like this commercial here that I'm going to bring up. Only because, Russell looks so good in this commercial, he loves this picture. I love this picture. And, but, Nona doesn't love this picture. Why is that, Russell?
What pictures? What do you got, Charlie?
I'm going to show you.
Yeah, Nona doesn't like that picture. I went to the dollar store and I bought some easy glue-on. Just stick it and you put it on the back, man. You stick it on the back here and give you a little ponytail, man. I think it was like $1 or something like that. I'm kidding with you. I'm going through that. I can't even say midlife crisis anymore. I'm beyond midlife crisis. When you start getting way up, and I'm not going to say how old, but when you get to that point, you're just trying to you're trying to survive, you're trying to keep, you're trying to still exist, and you're saying, and you get up in the morning, you look in the mirror and go, this ain't working anymore. And then after wearing that mask all that time, right? The mask is actually molded. It reminds me of a Twilight Zone Twilight Zone episode where the guy had the family put on the mask. They take the mask off, and all of a sudden you look, and your face is like, the muscles in your face don't work anymore. When you're trying to go like this, man, it doesn't work. It doesn't matter anymore. I'm beyond that, man. It doesn't make a difference anymore. When we were younger, we were all worried about that stuff. We went to the dance clubs, and we made sure we had our design shirts on. That's the days when everybody just went out to dance. There was no for everybody. We weren't trying to be, gangster. We were just trying to get a dance. We weren't worried about it. We just wanted to have the nice picture on the front. I think Nona saw one, and she was like, "Whoa, look at him!"
Yeah,
she won't like that, but that's right. But it doesn't matter. But we're lucky and fortunate to have gotten to this point. And the serious matter of it is that we still have people in, right in our own backyard that are just trying to find a way. And you got places like Mass Rehab. You have, great place. Mass Rehab was doing so much. They've done so much in the past, for a lot of folks in the community. You have programs like in Fall River, Star. And as a matter of fact, I'll have to share with you, I did a commercial for Star years ago, and they ran it on TV for a while. It was about, not having a job, or, trying to find a way. And then in these times with the COVID going on, it makes it even more difficult because people are definitely, being wary about going on a job and getting themselves sick.
True.
So you have employees that just, they're just not showing up anymore.
Yeah. I just hope that this coming springtime, things kind of get a little bit better around here. To just I see so many people depressed and down and out, and it's kind of why, between deaths, within this pandemic, or things that are going on, and people passing away, whether it's COVID or something else, and there's a lot of people down and out, and got to bring some sunshine to this area. And I think that we do this through this podcast, and trying to highlight people and highlight different things, even through the radio station. I mean, when you get there, to me, it's a good feeling being there on that radio station to play some music. But that's something that, you and I have for ourselves personally, for our well-being, our mental health. It's not a constant thing where we're just homework. We're actually doing something that we love.
That's important because, you do have to find those hobbies. I mean, there's a lot of hobbies, I find myself involved in. I'm still model making. I make models. I do pastel pitches, still writing, still going at it. I belong to Culture Park in New Bedford. We were doing a lot of acting in the last couple of years. This year, we couldn't do anything at the Whaling Museum, but I've written plays, short plays that have been performed. I always try to find something to just keep myself going. And the most important thing is to always just trying to keep your head, clean, just not putting stuff, whether it's alcohol, or whether it's just something that can disturb your mind, your creativity. We were introduced to all that stuff when we were younger. Everybody was out there. We all ran around, thought we were invincible. But, as time goes on, and I would always pass on to the younger people, don't do it because you'll regret it. I'm glad I woke up years ago really, really fast to say, hey, this isn't where you're supposed to be going with this. You got to take care of yourself, because as you get older, it's going to affect you, man. You're going to wake up one morning and go, what the heck? It's like a tire on a car. Pretty soon it's going to wear down, and we can't just all of a sudden, throw something new on us or jump in another body. It's not going to happen like that. We got to take care of ourselves. That's the most important thing. And I want to share with this. I once experienced working with, again, the state. I lived in a facility for 5 months after the Ernestina. Um, it was a living facility where there were a lot of young people or even young adults. They had made a couple of errors. They were, had to stay at this camp. They had to live in the woods. We would take them out. I even had to be trained for this. So we went through training, went into the woods, slept in the woods for days. Most of the time, it was right through the season, whether it was in the cold or anything else. And one of the most amazing things I saw, and there were people all over from Springfield, Boston. The thing that made the difference was 3 good meals a day turned some heads around. 3 good meals a day. When these folks came in and they would just had so much weight on them, they had been in trouble, they got all these things happened to them. When they were in that environment where it was way out in the Cape, way out in the woods, they had a clean air. They were able to just be in that wilderness. They were able to just focus. And I was so amazed to see after 30 days transformation of some of these guys. And he was even at a section for the girls. I mean, they came in and they went out healthy. The only downfall to the whole thing was no after treatment. You had nothing to go to after that. So it was like going out and going to the service, and you went to boot camp and you came back to your neighborhood and everybody saw you and said, wow, you look so good. You look like you're in shape and you're healthy. And then all of a sudden, bam, you're going down to the local store, you're grabbing a bottle and you're drinking, you're right back to the same thing. So the environment is definitely affects where you're going to go with your health. If you're in the same spot and you're hanging out with doing the same thing, you're going to fall right back into that trap. That was probably the most disappointing thing is to see on graduation day, some of these young people or young adults get back on the bus, go home, and knowing that you hear later on that they're coming back again, or sometimes they get recycled, they have to come back. The courts would tell them you have to go back, you got to do it again, and we'd be surprised and look at them and say, wow, what are you doing here again? And he just said, look, you know what, it's better that I come here where this is away from everything, and then I can get healthy. And I always thought in the back of my mind, it would be nice for them not just to be able to not go back to that same setting again.
Yeah, exactly. The we sometimes we're creatures of habit, and sometimes the habits that we have, we just can't get rid of them, but I like to go back to some of your things you mentioned about you personally and doing the plays and doing the acting, and I just want to let you know that during this pandemic I was actually talked to by a couple of people and about joining a group called Silk Sonic. So I only had the glasses, and I just
I like those on. You should wear them on every show, man.
and I try to sing. I can't sing,
You bring a Bootsy back.
yeah, I try to sing like Joey Gonzalez.
Yabba dabba doo, baby. Yabba dabba doo, baby. That was Derek Rose's format on radio, man. If we bring that, we'll have to bring him back. Everybody knows Derek Rose. He brought the P-Funk to New Bedford. We will always listen to Dr. Funkenstein and all that stuff. He's the man behind that, and I don't want to steal anything from him because you got to get him back on the show so he can explain it. But when he was on WNBH, that's what he was doing.
Yeah, we got to get some of those old school DJs,
Yeah.
and get them on here and just talk about a few things. Every week we have the privilege and we're fortunate to be around, guys like Brian Magnet, who started at a very, very young age since high school. And he's continued to do, the DJ thing and bring out so many music, so many different types of music. But he stayed relevant,
Yeah.
and he constantly evolved himself and doing when it came to music, so it's nice to see that he's still around doing those things,
He's amazing. He's an amazing guy. I mean, just the way he presents himself, and he's super professional. And I get a kick out of every time we go to the station. And the minute I walk through that door, I know that we're gonna have a good time. As long as you guys don't tell me about my cell phone anymore, they're always trying to tell me that I have an old school cell phone. But I wanted to mention again about Sidney Poitier, and you were mentioning about acting. I mean, he influenced me when I was a kid, big time. It was A Raisin in the Sun. It was Rachel Holland, who was out of New Bedford, who was a professor at BCC, took me to see my first play. And when I saw Raisin in the Sun, I was just blown away. I said, wow, this is an amazing, amazing play. So that influenced me. Lorraine Hansberry, who I studied for a while, she didn't want to find herself stuck in a box. She wanted to make sure that her audience was everybody. She didn't want to say, okay, well, I'm just going to make this for a black audience or a white audience. She wanted everybody to understand the message. And if you've seen Raisin in the Sun, you'll understand what that kind of writing was about. And I followed that up myself whether I was doing some stage acting, and which I studied all the way from Baltimore to here to UMass, where I started doing some theater. That influenced me in a big way. So, and it continues to influence me. And to know that we lost him today, especially with To Serve with Love, that was something I carried with me when I became a substitute teacher, and I walked in to some of those classrooms, and I had to deal with some of the young people. I wanted them to respect me just like I respect them. And what's really nice is years later, when you see somebody and they tell you, you know what, Mr. Ramos, I remember you when you were a sub, and you were a good sub. And it wasn't so much, okay, you were a good sub because, you were letting someone either get away with something or do something. It's just that they remember me because I remembered everybody. I wasn't selective. I wasn't looking in the classroom for a particular group or people. I was just looking at everybody as students because I remember what it was like when I was a student. And we have to do that also, when we go back to the homeless again. You got to look at people and say, again, what is it that I can either help you with or some way, move you on or to get you in a better situation. And I'm sure many times they will come back to you and say, man, thank you. I'm so lucky that you were there and you did it. You helped out. It's just many friends in this neighborhood. Even when I remember when I was homeless, they helped me out. There was a young lady that would always tell me, Russ, you come crash on the couch, man, and respectfully. And it was a really good situation. They didn't want to see you out there. And, not to say that we can always trust that, but they did something.
Yeah, exactly. Michael Samail says, from my brief experience, the artistic and creative process does and has impacted my own behaviors in a positive way. So true.
That's good, Michael. Absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. Thank you for contributing that.
That's right. Can't wait for that book to come out.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to mention again, because Sandra Andrade had mentioned we were talking about seniors and how, also seniors needed help and how we could set up or use some buildings. Again, Sandra, that stayed on my mind because there's so many places that we could probably do that. But with this pandemic going on, it kind of holds us back in a sense. But maybe doing something like this, maybe if we can get them somehow signed in, on Zoom, and have these meetings and have someone like Charlie. Charlie's very good at, the technical part. We could all volunteer to help out and get them online and talk to them and show them, the basics on how to get on and do these kind of things. So when situations arise where they can't be around everyone, the window will open and they'll know how to use this technology.
So true.
But thank you, Sandra.
Yeah, back to I appreciate the comments, all the comments, and Sandra, that was a good one, especially at the beginning of the podcast. We got about 6 minutes, and it's you know, and look, as we're talking about services, and you hear the fire trucks in the background, and it's a constant grind, with the city services, and people are constantly trying to help out the next person, and that goes from the city to the people on the pavement. So the I want to continue this conversation, and I also want to I respect and appreciate all that you bring to me, Russell, with your conversations, and when feel free that when we are doing the mental health with Coach Marvin Speller, I'd like you to actually come on, occasionally, and even if it's every show, just basically if you have something that you want to talk about or bring up during the conversation, please do. Or even if you know of someone that has a problem, and something that's depressing them or keeping them down, please refer them to listen to that podcast, or maybe even give a testimony of what they're going through, because it probably would help out many people that are viewing. So, but I can't wait for that, and I hope we get it started this week. Hopefully this coming week.
And and I'm sorry, I know we don't have much time, but that's very important when you said basically give us sort of a testimony of what we've been through. I mean, to say I don't mind sharing with people and saying, hey, yeah, right, Russ was, I was homeless one time, and it's crazy that now that when people see it, they're like, oh man, you mean this is the guy he did the radio. He was a guy from USM years ago. He's the guy that started doing the acting, the PBS, the ABC, and earned a SAG card, and writes just like Charlie. You do it. All of these things that someone didn't think you were gonna do, you did. And I always tell someone that's in that situation, stop looking at what you did 2 weeks ago and say, oh man, I got to keep living on that, and going, oh, I got to keep thinking, oh, I did this and it's not going to be able to move. Just move forward. There's a bunch of, man, life is really cool, because in somewhere there's a magical box, you dig in it, you pull something out and you go, I can't believe, wow, look what I did. Look at this, man. And where some people would have thought that you could never do it, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You just have to believe in yourself, or whatever you lean on to believe in yourself. Just say, look, you know what? It's going to happen. And you can't kick yourself if you make a mistake. And I was telling Charlie when we started doing the radio, and we're kind of like twicking around trying to figure out, what buttons to press. Sometimes, make Charlie press a button, I'll press a button, and we do different things. And I told Charlie, I said, don't worry about that. When I first started doing radio, I used to pick up the arm on the record, and I would go, oh no, I'd walk home, and I'd get butterflies in my stomach. Imagine walking by in Monty's Park. Man, they used to run the PSAs that we did. So sometimes I would be out of the radio station, and then all of a sudden the music's being played on another show, and your voice would come out over the park or something. You go, I did that, or whatever. So if you made that little mistake, like picking up the arm on a record, it's not enough for you to all of a sudden, take it internally, walk down the street, someone says it to you. One day I just said to myself, wait a minute, this is a learning ground. This is where we're learning to do this. Like what we're doing now at the radio station, everything's still being constructed. The tables are being put in. The technical stuff's being put in. So obviously it's not all going to be, what it is. Sometimes you just got to improvise on it and not worry about it. Because if you're worried about it every minute, you're never going to move. They always say, Denzel Washington said, someone told him, don't fall back. He says he'd rather fall forward. Fall forward, never fall. Don't fall backwards, fall forward. If you make a mistake, you're going to make a mistake. Maybe it's because of, as you start to get older, I just don't worry about stuff like that anymore. How you're going to look, or what you can correct it. You can say, okay, so how would you want me to do it? You know, do you want me to fix that, or do you want me to do it? But don't let somebody beat you on the top of your head. This is why some people, they tell me, I can't do it. I can't move forward because I have to keep having someone tell me, oh well, you did this, you forget all that stuff. Just keep moving up the ladder. You slip down, get back. It's like an escalator. You can keep riding an escalator all day long. It'll take you to the top, but obviously, if you got to get back down to the bottom, the next day it'll take you back to the top again. Just keep riding the escalator over and over. That's the escalator of life. It doesn't matter at this point.
So true. The and I'm glad that you're by my side when those moments do come for me. When I am kind of slipping up with some words. I have little repetitive things that I do, like the phrase I'm always saying that. But when you have somebody that's good at your side that you can kind of pander with and talk about, different situations that just happen, makes things a whole lot easier, and you have made it a whole lot easier for me actually in that radio station doing things along with Brian. Brian's keeps me going, and we all try to encourage each other.
He keeps us going. Now Brian sees me in a different light now. Like the other day, they were talking on a sports show about one of the guys said, they're picking on me because I'm senior. Don't pick on seniors, because you know what, we still got it going on, man. Don't mess with us. I'm telling you. So, that stuff happens. Like I told you, walking home, getting butterflies in my stomach and saying, look. Tomorrow I'm going right back and I'm going to do the same thing again. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop me from doing it. We're just going to keep moving forward.
So true. We got a good thing going, and I want to keep it going. Whoops. I just want to bring this up here, Russell. This is something we're going to do bi-weekly, and it's feeling stressed, burnt out, discouraged, or depressed. Join Charlie Perry and Coach M100. Let's dive into this together and make your mental health your priority. Just want to bring that up before we close. That's something that's going to be bi-weekly, and I really, really need everyone to come on and let's talk about
Absolutely.
it. I have a friend out there, and Leah, if you're out there listening, please, we talked about many things, in your story. Use this segment to bring your story out, and talk to people, because there's a lot of people going through what you did, and I'd like you to bring it to the Really Charlie podcast.
Absolutely.
So my man, my friend, we definitely, I appreciate this. I tagged you, and it's like a tag team. Boom. And you get into the ring and you have conversations with me and the people that are viewing, and I think we help out many people when we come on, and thank you for your help.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for just bringing me along a while ago, because I'm having a good time with this.
Yeah,
it's very serious, and at the same time we can have some good laughs once in a while, and I won't pick on you. Don't talk about my cell phone, because that, if you talk about my cell phone, that gets me kind of wound up. Charlie's been telling me that my phone is obsolete. He's like that Twilight Zone guy. It's obsolete. He keeps telling me my phone's obsolete. Man, this phone is working for 10 years. It still works. Somebody said 10 years. No, I'm only kidding. I've only had it for 2 years. I'm sick. I'm old school. I'm sick and tired of these things. They're not supposed to break down like this. My era wasn't like everything. It's disposable. They just want us to. Now they're telling us to get rid of this phone. I'm just going to go with paper cups and strings pretty soon, and that's how we're going to work it. Charlie, when I go to the station, be expecting a paper cup with some string.
All right. Well, we'll actually have to. We're going to have find those big spools of
yeah, why not?
We'll
hook it up, man.
We can communicate from the station to your home.
All right. You folks don't forget, pick up your spool of thread over at the radio station, and we'll hook them up so we can next time you guys are on, we'll be talking free, man. You don't have to pay. All you gotta do is just pluck the string, and you'll be able to hear it. You'll say, "Oh, I heard what he said."
No, there's one thing that we have to bring up and eventually have a podcast about it, is that everything's going up. Prices on everything are going up.
Yeah.
But our pay rate isn't going up. You
Oh
give us
man,
a
I get
dollar,
you.
and then you give us $1 raise, and then we got to pay $4 to $5, $6 more from the pumps to the grocery store. We're paying even a gallon of milk.
I want to keep it simple. I always fall back on what I had to do. And I told you before, I never forget riding my bicycle up the north end to D'Angelo's in the rain or whatever it is. The manager was really good. I said, look, if I come in here and work, do you mind if I have a sandwich at times? Sure. He said, you take a break, you can make your own sandwich. At the end of it, what they did at D'Angelo's, they used to cut the ends of the bread off and throw them into a plastic bag under the shelf, and it would, once the plastic bag would fill up, they take it and go throw it in a dumpster. Me, at the end of the night, I was saying, hey, this is when I was single years ago, and I'm trying to exist. And I said, you know what, at the end of the night, do you mind if I take that bag with that bread? And you'd see me riding from the north end with this bag. I didn't care. I had about 40 pieces of bread in a bag. I would take it home, man. I'd make this big kettle, and I can't make manchupa, I can't make it, but I would make me a nice kettle of some stuff with some bread and eat that. I didn't care if somebody saw me riding down the street with bread hanging on the back, because I had it for like a whole month. Freeze some of it. I was good.
It's nice,
That's old school style, man.
Whole lot of bread for a whole lot of soup, man.
Remember the days I won't go into another subject, but remember the days when we used to have peanut butter and jelly, right? How many times did you go home and your parents were like, you know what you're having for lunch? When the schools years ago used to send the kids home for lunch, you didn't have lunch in school. You have to go home. Sometimes I'd go home and it was, what's there? We're going to have peanut butter and jelly, man. I had many peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
It's a go-to. I don't mind it. Just got to put something in your system, in your stomach. And anyone out there that wants to get Russell and I to wear a T-shirt on the podcast, or maybe even on the radio station, let us know. Send us a T-shirt. We'll wear it. Actually, like this one. It's from the Wind Down podcast.
Oh wow! I need a T-shirt. I need a T-shirt, man.
I gotta talk to B. Carter and C. Lister and see if they can get you one. But thanks again, Russell. I'm gonna continue. And I got a few things I got to do. Set up some other podcasts for the upcoming week. So, I appreciate you and your conversation. And what I'm going to do is end with our commercial. But please
don't forget before you go, we get another podcast coming up pretty soon. What's the big one coming up pretty soon? You better tell everybody.
The big one is I'm going to be the guest, and I'm going to be interviewed by the famous or infamous Russell Ramus.
I got high questions for you, man. It's gonna be a hot interview, man. I don't know. You might hit the button.
I don't know. Really, Charlie is always ready for real questions, so I am
ready. Really, Charlie? All right.
Yeah, okay. Really. All right, my brother. Have a good day. Stay warm. Light the fireplace up,
Okay.
And take care. God bless you.
Okay. Take care, everybody.
to dial a shovel, your local residential snow removal service. Please contact us if you have any questions. We look forward to helping you keep your property safe and clear. Our number is 774-634-6200.